done deal. I want to bring on constitutional lawyer Don Brown from the heat of North Carolina. Don, good to see you today.
Steve, good to see you. Happy Independence Week. We're still celebrating. Appreciate all that you've done, musically and otherwise. It's good to be with you.
Good to be with you, sir. I think it's been a lot hotter for some podcasters who were just spewing manure for the last nearly a year about this case. There's this thing that they have in courtrooms. You might have heard of it, Don. It's called evidence. And the evidence here has been remarkable, wouldn't you say?
Sure it has. Steve, you're right. Judge Graff will find probable cause and bind this case over to trial. This preliminary hearing process in Utah is a bit unique. In some ways, under the U.S. Constitution and Fifth Amendment, in federal cases, there's a right to a grand jury to determine probable cause in about half the states. And occasionally they use it in Utah, but those proceedings are secret. What we've seen is out in the open, and what we have seen is a preview of the prosecution's evidence. It looks pretty airtight for the most part, and so this is going to be a preview of what we're going to see at the trial itself when a jury's picked. And I agree with you, between the confession and the video evidence, and even the ballistics evidence, even though there's not an absolute match, it's from a 30 caliber type of weapon. This was a 30-06, a Mauser 98. Very big bullet. This is the very same bullet that our forces used on the M1 Garand in World War II. And I think it's going to be a fait accompli. But this is going to trial. There's not even going to be any mystery or any anticipation or any drama at all. It's just a matter of the judge coming out with his ruling on it. And I expect that might even be today, if not certainly the first of the week.
Yeah, so here is the thing about Utah that's a bit unique even to this day. Utah was the first place to conduct an execution after the Supreme Court reauthorized it in 1976. Gary Gilmore, shot by firing squad. His last words, by the way, let's do it. And it's interesting to note that Tyler Robinson, facing the death penalty, could, if lethal injection is unavailable, could also face a firing squad. It is a unique bit of American lore, isn't it?
Right, it is. And if he's proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, it's sort of like what goes around comes around to some degree. Of course, in Utah, in order to, as is the case in other jurisdictions, in order to move forward with a capital case for the death penalty, you have to show aggravating factors. And the prosecution is doing that here, one being that this prosecution is by all accounts politically motivated. That is reflected somewhat in some of the confession stuff that we have from this lover of his, Mr. Twiggs. But also another aggravating factor is it was done in front of children. And the aggravating factors are there. And I expect that this capital case will proceed, and the court will find their aggravating factors to allow it to proceed as a capital case as well. And it could certainly be death by execution, or execution by firing squad. Excuse me. I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all.
Another thing here is this was planned. It was malice of forethought without question. According to Lance Twiggs, a part of the tape that was played in court this week, he said that the engravings on the side of the cartridges, the ones that were recovered, the spent casing and the three others, that was a Dremel tool that he had told Tyler Robinson where it was. And that happened maybe about a month before Charlie Kirk was assassinated. I mean, that shows a deliberate plan, step by step by step. Here's Grandpa's rifle. Let me engrave the shells. Let me scout out the campus 4 times or whatever, and make a plan to kill Charlie Kirk. That also is aggravating, isn't it?
Absolutely it is. And as you point out, malice of forethought is one of the elements that is required for first-degree murder in virtually every jurisdiction in the country. And those casings with the bizarre left-wing political writing on them, one having to do with a furry, the other one being an LBG type thing there. These are messages trying to get into the face of who Tyler Robinson believed Charlie Kirk to be, but it shows a planning and a mindset going back at least a month, it appears, if not more, depending on what the evidence finally shows and when those engravings or those paintings on those casings actually took place. But you raised a good point there, and I think that's going to be certainly crucial on that element of malice of forethought. This wasn't something that just happened on the spur of the moment. It was something that was planned, and I don't see Again, the interesting thing about Utah's procedure with these preliminary hearings is we get to see everything that you would. In fact, we get to see more than a grand jury would get, because the defense doesn't even get to show up and cross-examine on the grand jury. So we've got a pretty solid preview of what we're going to see, and I think that's going to come into play on the malice of forethought element.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. The only concern that I have here, Don, honestly, is why do we have to wait all the way to the 1st of September? That's 7 weeks from now. I mean, you can't reach the conclusion. Everybody that watched this proceeding says by day 2, the professionals that have been on this program, attorneys, said they've met what they need to meet, because it's not a very high threshold. I mean, most criminal defendants are charged within 48 hours. This will be almost a year before we get to that point in this proceeding. Anyhow, I'll give you the last word.
Well, you're right, Steve. It's kind of a slam dunk. The question is whether there's probable cause to proceed. And in layman's language, probable cause raises 2 questions we got to ask. Number one, would a reasonable person believe that a crime has been committed? We all saw it on national TV. It was gory. It was unfortunate, shocking, and sad. So yes, a crime's been committed. And the second question, is it probable, not beyond a reasonable doubt, but probable, that the defendant is the one who committed the crime? The confessions in and of themselves show that. And you combine that with the video, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. There's no question this is coming down. It shouldn't have to wait till September. Justice should be swift here. Unfortunately, welcome to my world. We've got problems with the justice system, and inordinate delays for no reason is one of those problems. But hopefully they'll get to it sooner than that.
Yeah, Utah law says they have to proceed swiftly, but apparently the judge in this case seems to think that they can wait a bit longer. Don Brown, always appreciate talking to you, my friend. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Steve. Thanks so much.